Good morning, everyone. My name is Erin, for those of you who might not know me, and this is Swami Jyoti, and we're visiting from Ananda village. We're so happy to be with all of you, so thank you for coming. I will start with Whispers from Eternity. This is prayer demand for devotion, and Yogananda called these prayer demands because he said we shouldn't pray like beggars. We should demand as though we are children of God, because that's who we really are. O Father, I hold my heart in my folded hands. Teach me to saturate my prayers with thy love. Give me the simple, sincere devotion toward thee of a child. Teach me to realize thee just behind the voice of my prayer. Teach me to feel thy breath flowing with my breath. Teach me to cognize thy presence in my emotions. Teach me to perceive thy wisdom in my understanding. Teach me to sense thy all-pervading life in my life. Oh, flood my senses with thy light. Yes. Do I need to fix this? Is that better? I don't know what. We spent a lot of time on this before, too. Not quite right. If everything goes too smoothly, people start to fall asleep, so this is good. It's keeping everyone awake. Better?
I think so.
Okay. Good morning. So I've been traveling a lot recently, we both have, and the weekend before last, I was in Los Angeles for Yogananda Fest. And it was I drove down with a friend of ours, Dion, who also lives at Ananda Village, and another new friend of ours, Mike, who moved up from LA to the village about a year ago. And so we had a wonderful time, and it was great having someone from the LA area kind of driving. Dion was driving, but he was directing us because, when you're in the city, there's a lot of traffic, there's a lot of people, there's a lot to see, it's easy to get distracted and turned around. So it was nice having Mike along. And as we were getting ready to leave, he asked if we could make a stop at the house where he used to live. He needed to pick something up. So we said, sure. So he directed us, and we got there, and he got what he needed, got back in the car, and he said, okay, so just go back the way you came. And Dion said, I don't know where I came from. And we all just sort of laughed because, it's true. Obviously, when you're traveling, when you're in a strange city, you do get turned around. But also in life, we come from the astral world. We come down here to the material plane. We get all distracted, confused. We get turned around. We get lost. And we don't know where we came from. We don't know who we are. We forget who we really are. And this reading, all of the readings really, all of the teachings, all of the techniques, the music, the ceremonies, all of the spiritual path have one purpose, which is to remind us that we are children of the light, to remind us of who we really are. And we forget that we're free already. It's not something we have to accomplish. It's not something we have to become. And that's the key word there, remind. It isn't about becoming children of the light. It isn't something we have to achieve. We are that already. It's just a matter of remembering. But it's not so easy. We get distracted. We get confused. We get a little lost along the way because we think, I'm a woman, I'm a man, I'm a teacher, I'm a doctor, I'm a husband or a wife. We get all caught up in this bundle of self-definitions. That's how Swami Kriyananda described the ego, a bundle of self-definitions. Or we get caught identifying with our limitations. I'm tired, I'm sick, I'm too poor, I'm lonely, all those things. And the truth is, we're none of those things. Maybe temporarily. And temporary can be a lifetime, or maybe a few even, but it's not eternal. It's not eternal. It's not who we really are. And I was talking with a friend of mine recently who was kind of caught in this difficult group situation. There were some tensions and reactions and all that, and so we were kind of talking about what, how to go into it, how to work with it. And I said, well, remember, they all want harmony. And he looked at me kind of funny, and I said, well, their souls all want that. And again, we kind of laughed a little because that's what happens. On the soul level, we're not usually relating from that level, unfortunately. But on the soul level, we do all want that harmony. We want that joy. We remember that we are light. But we get caught in our likes and dislikes, in our reactions, in our opinions. And the thing is, though, that's just mud over the diamond of our soul. That's not eternal. That light, that soul reality is always there to be uncovered. So we have to remember that. It's always there to be uncovered. And how do we remember? And how do we live in that remembrance? That's our job. Well, I was reminded of a story recently. Probably many of you have heard it. It was one that Yogananda told. And it's in one of the Wisdom series books from Crystal Clarity. And I've heard it many times, but I heard it again recently, and I thought, I think there's more to this story than I realized. So I wanted to share it with all of you and share a few thoughts. And it's the story of the little lion who, before he was born, his mother was very hungry. She hadn't eaten for weeks, and she came upon a little herd of sheep. And she leapt and grabbed one of the sheep and ran off into the forest to have her feast. And in her hunger, she didn't realize that with the exertion of catching that sheep, she had given birth to the little lion cub. And he was left there amongst the herd of sheep. And the little lion cub didn't know any better. He just stayed there, and he ended up being raised by the sheep, and he learned to graze and eat grass and bleat like a sheep. And he thought he was a sheep. Until one day, another big lion came along and saw this herd of sheep, and he was hungry, decided to catch one of the sheep for dinner. But as he was running after them, he noticed there was a lion amongst these sheep that was also running away. And he thought, that's odd. And he thought, I need to find out what's going on. So he went and chased after the lion and caught him, pinned him down. And at this point, the little sheep lion was just shaking with fear. And the big lion said, what's the matter with you? Why are you running away from me? And the little sheep lion just, bah, bah, don't kill me, I'm just a little sheep. And the big lion realized the problem, and he had an idea. And so he dragged the sheep lion to a lake nearby that was perfectly calm and still. And he brought the lion to the edge of the water, pushed his head out over the edge and said, look, you're not a sheep, you're a lion, look. And the little sheep lion had his eyes shut tight. He didn't want to look until finally he shook him, and he opened his eyes, and he didn't see a sheep's head, he saw a lion's head. And the big lion said, look, your face and my face are the same. You're a lion. Now roar. And of course, it took the little sheep lion a couple of tries, but finally he let out that mighty roar, and they went off to the lion's den in the forest together. And of course, this is the story of all of us. We forget that we're lions. We have sheep consciousness. We get caught and we forget. And what do we need to get out of that? Well, first of all, we need the guru. We need that big lion. Because the guru comes. The guru is the one that can finally see us as we really are and show us that divine reflection. The guru knows us better than we know ourselves. And the saints, the masters, as Swami Kriyananda said so often, they don't come to show us how great they are only. They come to remind us of our own greatness, to help us remember, to see that reflection of the divine within us. Most of us probably don't think that we would run from the guru like the little sheep, but I was thinking about this, and you think about, how does the guru wake us up from ego? And it's through our tests and trials and challenges, and sometimes even the things that we fear, that we are able to really wake up and remember who we really are. In the autobiography, I love the description that Yogananda uses. He's talking about Swami Kriyananda, and he says, "The hard core of human egotism is hardly to be dislodged except rudely." And why is that? We need those tests, we need those challenges to wake us up, because it reminds us of the strength that we have to overcome those challenges. Our challenges don't come to crush us, to make us feel little. Maybe that's how we feel initially. But when you put out the energy, when we overcome those challenges, when we face those tests, we realize that divine potential that we have, that strength that we have, that light to overcome whatever comes to us. I don't think there's a person here who hasn't overcome something in their lives thus far, or maybe is going through something right now. And you have that strength within you, that divine strength to face whatever's in front of you. But what do we need to help us realize that, to be able to really see that reflection? It's that calm, still lake. We need meditation to be able to calm the heart, to still the mind, working with the breath, controlling the breath, and stilling the heart and mind, so that we can see that perfect reflection of spirit. And it's through our daily meditation, certainly, through that practice, but also bringing that into our daily life. As I mentioned, I've been traveling a lot lately, and I highly recommend traveling as a way to experiment and really put your meditation practice to the test. Because when you're traveling, you're always just like a little bit outside your comfort zone, right? You're not sleeping in your own bed, you're not eating your own food, you're not on your own schedule. Even if it's, it's fun, there's an element of it that's just joyful. It's so wonderful to get to visit all of you, but you're always a little bit at your edge. And I've just been paying attention, trying to pay more attention to that moment when I start to feel a little bit of resistance, when I start to feel that tendency to want to react, to want to complain, to, oh, this isn't the way I wanted, because that's what travel is. You're just not in your own flow. And just paying attention to that moment when I feel that. And yes, there's a part of me that maybe feels tired or hungry or irritated or whatever it is. But then bringing the energy up to the point between the eyebrows, really strongly focusing there. And I've noticed that as soon as I start to do that, I start to realize there's a part of me that's totally untouched by this. I'm not this sensation, I'm not this feeling, I'm not this experience. I start to tune in, and we all have this potential to practice this. This is what we practice in meditation, to tune into that part of ourselves that's bigger than all of this, than all that we're experiencing. In the Bhagavad Gita, it says, "Weapons cannot cut the soul, fire cannot burn it, water cannot drown it, wind cannot wither it away. The soul is never touched. It is immutable, all-pervading, calm, unshakable. Its existence is eternal." That's who we really are. And it's always there, even if we don't feel that we are that, even if we're absolutely convinced we're not that. Nope, that's our true reality. That's our true home. And we have to do whatever we can to remind ourselves as often as possible that's what's true. The other practice that I've been working with is using affirmation, because it's really just a matter of retraining the mind from going towards the thought of limitation. I'm too this, I'm not enough that, whatever that is for you. Retraining the mind from that thought to, I've been using the affirmation for happiness. I vow from this day forward to be happy under every circumstance. I came from God's joy, I am joy. Especially that last part. I came from God's joy, I am joy. And it's been wonderful. Yes, of course, practicing it in meditation, but just as I go through the day, there's boundless opportunities, constant almost opportunities to come up against our limitations, our irritations, our likes and dislikes, and just to practice replacing that thought of limitation, or just meeting that thought of limitation even. If you can't replace it, maybe you still feel frustrated and irritated, but to just meet that with, I came from God's joy, I am joy. I mean, sometimes it just makes me laugh that I'm even saying that in the circumstance that I find myself in, but it helps. And it's good practice. And the more we do that, the more that becomes our reality. The more we remember that is our reality. I came from God's joy. I am joy. We're just chipping away at that gunk, that mud that covers over that soul reality that's always there. And the last part I wanted to touch on was the ending of the story, which is where the two lions go off and return to the lion's den in the forest. Because we need community. Environment is such an important part of being able to remember who we really are. We can't do this on our own. We need spiritual community. It's so important. And yes, to remind us, of who we really are. It's beautiful to be in community and people just reflect back to you that light and they see the highest in you, but also to give us an opportunity to see that we're all children of the light. We can practice seeing that light in others. And as we do that, it strengthens that remembrance in ourselves. It's this beautiful flow of giving and receiving. It's such a blessing. And in a funny way, this is the gift of Ananda, is to have that spiritual community. And I think one of the greatest blessings that I've noticed is that people are not perfect, which is kind of a funny thing to say is a blessing, but it's a blessing because, people get angry, they act selfishly sometimes, we make mistakes. People at Ananda aren't perfect, but what's different is how we respond to that. There's always this effort not to focus on the limitations or the mistakes. There's always this effort to look for the light, to look for the strengths in every individual. And it's such a transformative experience to be in that day after day, to practice that, to have people see that in you, and then to offer that to others. It just can't help but remind us of what the real reality is, who we really are. I stumbled upon this story of a Gurubai in Italy, Jayadev, and he had written down a couple of experiences he had with Swami Kriyananda. And he said earlier in his life, he was always getting himself into trouble. He was kind of badly behaved. Even when he first came to the community, he seemed to always be getting himself into trouble. And he said one day they were at lunch with Swami Kriyananda, and, they were talking and having fun, and suddenly Swami just paused and looked at him. He said, Jayadev, you're a jewel. You are a jewel. And he said it touched him so deeply. For someone to see that part of him, to believe in him, and to recognize that and to reflect that back, I think most of us here have had that experience in some way or another, maybe not with Swami Kriyananda, but with someone in Ananda, to just have that experience of having that light reflected back. You are a jewel. And he said, after that, I always have tried to look for that jewel of the soul, that light of the soul in others, even when they're difficult, especially maybe when they're difficult. And that's the gift that we can give to each other. Yes, to remember that we are children of the light, but to remember also that everyone around you is a child of the light, whether they look like it or not. They might be really covered over, but it's there. That light of the soul is there. And we just have to remind each other. We have to remind each other. A friend of mine was telling me a story about when her young daughter was, her daughter's grown now, but when she was 6 years old, the family was on this hike. And they were just walking along, and her daughter stopped, turned around, looked at her parents, and said, "I think I'm famous, you just don't know it yet." And I thought, yeah, I think we're light. I think we're children of the light, and we just don't know it yet. Isn't that so? We just forgot. And we have this beautiful blessing to be in community and to remind each other, I think you're light, and you just don't know it yet. So the next time, just as we go through this week, there's always opportunities to meet those moments of frustration and limitation in ourselves or maybe in others, but to just meet that with that remembrance of God's presence. I came from God's joy. I am joy. God bless.
There's joy in the heavens, a smile on the mountains, and melody sings everywhere. The flowers are all laughing to welcome the morning. Your soul is as free as the air. The flowers are all laughing to welcome the morning. Your soul is as free as the air. Leave home in the sunshine, dance through a meadow, or sit by a stream and just be. The lilt of the water will gather your worries and carry them down to the sea. The lilt of the water will gather your worries and carry them down to the sea. Men hunger for freedom, but don't see the dungeon is only the thought that they're bound. Desires are their shackles, the hope that tomorrow the doorway to joy will be found. Desires are their shackles, the hope that tomorrow the doorway to joy will be found. There's joy all around us, why wait till tomorrow? We've only this moment to live. A heaven within us is ours for the finding, a freedom no riches can give. A heaven within us is ours for the finding, a freedom no riches can give. There's joy in the heavens, a smile on the mountains, and melody sings everywhere. The flowers are all laughing to welcome the morning. Your soul is as free as the air. The flowers are all laughing to welcome the morning. Your soul is as free as the air. The flowers are all laughing to welcome the morning. Your soul is as free as the air. Still your no care.